I have an email question from a listener in anticipation of your visit, Betsy. He was referencing Section 164, page 65, indicating that retirement health plans, quote unquote, will be reimbursed by the government plan. He's contending that in 2006, the UAW negotiated with the Big Three to assume responsibility for all retirement health care, and in turn the UAW was paid a big chunk of bucks. They're estimating the retirement health care fund was unfunded to the tune of about $80 billion. If government health care does not pass, the UAW will be on the hook for the $80 billion. If the health care does pass, the UAW is reimbursed by the government for expenses. The government will now pay the full cost of the UAW retirement health care. Is that right?
I think this is a really important call because I've read and reread that provision. In fact, I have it on my desk right now, Section 164, page 65. Mm-hmm. And it's the history that you've just provided that really illuminates the meaning of this, because the unions are making out like bandits in this bill. And whereas people who work for themselves or for a small business are really going to get clobbered. If you currently have a high-deductible health plan that lets you save some money, and it just covers you in case you have an accident or a serious illness like cancer, you're going to be forced to give that up and sign up for one of these so-called qualified plans. In other words, it's going to be the basic government-designed plan. The government is going to make all the private insurers write exactly the same kind of plan. It's going to cost a lot of money compared with a high-deductible plan, but you're not going to have any choice.
There's another issue on in Section 155 that came up, and this may just be boilerplate, but it has a very onerous overtone. It says, quote, if any provision of this act or any application of such provision to any person or circumstance is held to be unconstitutional, the remainder of the provisions of this act and the application of the provision to any other person or circumstance shall not be affected. I find that, first of all, why is that in there?
Isn't that interesting?
If they are allowing for the fact that something may be found unconstitutional,
they
then it is
be writing it to begin with.
Exactly, and it's cauterized down to one very specific person, and only he or she would get any relief. Everybody else is going to have to find the problem and dope it out for themselves. It's how can you even write legislation, that should have found to be unconstitutional would be limited only to the individual making the complaint?
Well, in fact, there are other aspects of this bill and provisions coming out of the White House regarding health care that are also constitutionally questionable. The vast delegation of authority from Congress to the executive branch. As you know, the President went to Congress just a couple of weeks ago and asked that the important decisions about Medicare be ceded from Congress to a new independent Medicare advisory commission. The President has said many times we have to cut Medicare, and it's going to be unpopular, so let's remove it from political influence. Well, that just suggests how devastating these cuts to Medicare are going to be. But there's a basic principle in our Constitution that the legislative branch makes the laws, the executive executes them, and it is unconstitutional for lawmakers to cede all the important decisions to the executive branch.
Well, I'm really not too happy with the presence of the word executes in the in that particular aspect of the legislation.
Let me point out something else I was just thinking about on page 136.
Okay.
This bill basically will require everyone under age 65 to be enrolled in what they call a qualified plan. That's government speak for the insurance plan that they're going to design. Even though it's private, it's going to be one size fits all. It's going to be a managed care plan. The design of this plan is to limit the amount of health care you can get. That's the purpose of this bill, not to cover the uninsured, it says right on page 1, but to limit health care spending. Now, that's all it says in the bill about this plan. 18 months after the bill is passed, if it's passed, a health choices commissioner will determine what benefits are in this health insurance plan, when you can get these benefits, and how much you are going to be legally required to pay for this plan that you have to have. And it reminded me of that old phrase, buying a pig in a poke. It's like the banker saying to you, sign this loan agreement, and we'll fill in the interest rate and the repayment terms later.
Yes, and you've got several hundred politicians there all looking you straight in the eye saying, trust me.
Yes.
And that brings back the image of Charlie Brown, Lucy, and the football.
And just to update us all, because everyone's been hearing about the public option and the co-op option,
Yes.
we shouldn't get too focused on that, because the fact is, regardless of whether there is a public option or a co-op option or not, even if they eliminate those, this is a bill that will require you to enroll in a health plan you don't want and to pay for it.
What is your opinion right now, Betsy, on where we are? It appears that the Obama administration and Obama himself has started to waffle on the public option. Sebelius came out and said it's not that big a deal. Nancy Pelosi got her panties in a wad, said it was actually going to be there. The president started to backtrack and said, well, no, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it is. Yes, this. I mean, this whole thing seems to be written on a magic slate as a result of the opposition that has been leveled against it based on accurate knowledge that was brought up by you and your reporting in these various articles all across the spectrum. Do you get the sense that there is going to be an opportunity for you to appear on TV with Secretary Sebelius and have it?
I wish we could do that, because it would be good to discuss the actual language of the bills. And that's something that she and others in the administration have avoided at all costs. But there is going to be legislation, and all the promises that she and the president make at town hall meetings will have no legal authority. What's going to matter is what the law says.
Do you? I know that we generally don't dabble, and it's not necessary in the political aspects of this. But I'm getting the sense that with the growing frustration at the town hall meetings and with people reading your articles and so on, that ultimately the end result is going to be these people are going to come back from their little vacay and they're going to say, screw the Republicans and everybody else. We got the votes to vote it, so let's vote it and get it over with.
I am very concerned that could happen.
Okay.
Very concerned.
Well, I know you'll. Is there? I always want to know where you're going to pop up next. You know, I'm always watching the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, American Spectator. Do you have
Keep an eye out. I am writing. I'm busy at my desk right now.
Okay.
And also waiting to see the next Senate bill that comes out, because we'll want to know what's in it.
Okay.
Page by page. And I so appreciate being on your show. It's such a wonderful show. It's so informative, and you are so well informed. So I enjoy being with you.
You're very kind. I look forward to our next opportunity to chat this thing up. You're doing a hell of a job. Thank you very much. Betsy McCaughey, from her desk on the latest skinny. So now you know. It really is the way it is. There is the provision 155 about unconstitutionality. We've checked out section 164 thanks to Walter. Thanks to John McAvoy, who sent that in. We thank you for that. And thanks to that article that Betsy wrote way back on February the 9th, Ruin Your Healthcare with the Obama Stimulus Plan, and at Bloomberg.com, as well as Deadly Doctors in the New York Post.